in Mr. Romo's class. So we're jumping forward in time from I think 2015 for the other videos to 2019 because this video was missing. I'm making a video for estate, which is English forward, week 1, 4.1, quarter 4, week 1. And so the word is estate. It does have at the front. Sometimes when you think from, like you want to take off the e at the front, but this one you do have it. So it's estate. Pero no es estado, no tiene nada que ver con estado. So remember that. It's not a state like California. It is also not a state of estado de ánimo, nothing like that. So totally different. Not estado, although it looks like it. Estate, it has two definitions. One is a large area of land, usually in the country, in el campo, that is owned by one person or one family. So not owned by a company, owned by one person or one family. And for Spanish translation, we have terreno. I talked to my students and decided to add hacienda and finca. So please add those to your card because it seems like that fits this definition a little better because a terreno can be big or can be small. And an estate is always big and it's always owned by one rich person or family. So that fits more with this. And then definition, okay, sentence for definition 1. Down here, this is an extra sentence that you don't have to copy. This is the one to copy. Extra sentence with definition 1. This is true. George Lucas, the director of Star Wars, owns a huge estate in the country north of San Francisco. And if you drive by their big gates and stuff, it's a big, huge estate. Lots of property, because he's very rich. Imagine by making Star Wars. That's an example with that definition 1. Definition 2. All the money or property that a person owns, especially everything that is left when he or she dies. So usually we use it in that way. A person's estate means the property that that person leaves when he or she dies. So for an example for that, I said my uncle managed my grandparents' estate when they died. So he was in charge of, when they died, then they left the property and money, and then he had to give the money to different relatives. So he managed that money that they left. So that was their estate, the money that they left. And so for that translation in Spanish, we have patrimonio. Synonyms, land, property, or assets. And we did not have any word families. Actually, so land and property, those are kind of, I mean, that would be probably like definition 1, we're talking about land. Definition 2 also could be land and property, maybe. If somebody leaves property when they die, that could be related. Assets is anything you own that is worth money. So that's more like definition 2. Assets is not, yeah, that's because if you're talking about the assets of somebody, but it would be, you can have assets when you're alive. An estate is usually when somebody has passed away. But the estate would be all the assets that that person leaves. That's why that can be a synonym. And sentence to copy. After a writer dies. So this is the sentence to copy on the back. Sentences are always about literature in some way. So it says, after a writer dies, profits from his or her books are part of the estate and pass to children or other relatives. So that's still true for, the law says in the US it's for 75 years, I think, after a book is written. Even if the person dies, their children can still make money from it. Then eventually after that, that's called copyright. But then after that time passes, then it's called public domain, dominio público, and then anyone can publish the book. But up until that point, like children can still make a lot of money from their parents' book. And like you need to get permission if you want to use something. If you want to use something from a book that was written recently, even, I don't know, 50 years ago, you probably have to go find the author's estate and ask permission to use the information from the book, and usually pay them. So, does anybody have other questions? Questions about this word? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for filming.